Inoue and his team has wrapped his hands with excessive amount of tape on his skin, then placing gauze and more tape, which creates a cast.
With that right hand, and Inoue comes right back at him.
They looked at Inoue and saw just another kid from Japan, untested, unproven, not worth fearing. Fulton's coach attacked his honor, questioned his legacy, and mocked everything he'd built. But when the bell rang, that so-called kid turned into a nightmare they never saw coming. But Inoue didn't fire back with his mouth. He waited, because once those words left Fulton's corner, it was already over. The moment they turned this into a question of character, the moment they called Inoue a cheater, a kid with tricks instead of talent, the result was no longer in doubt. Not because of karma, because of cold, hard reality. And what happened next would not just humble a champion, it would expose him completely.
Wrapping around the guard with that right hand, and Inoue comes right back at him.
Fulton's team tried to turn the spotlight on Inoue before the fight even began. They said his hand wraps were suspicious. Tape over the hair of the hand, then gauze, then more tape. According to them, it was too much. Illegal. Dangerous. His coach even said, "I have proof, and it's in my phone." But no proof ever came out. Just bold claims in front of microphones. That's not gamesmanship either. That's fear, dressed up as concern.
Is a bad dude. You understand me? They don't give him the credit because we don't see him that much. That dude right there, I think that dude really is pound number one.
In Japan, Inoue is a national icon. When he fights, the country stops. Fans chant his name like he's already in the history books. But even with all that behind him, he came to America without ego, just hunger. They called him a kid. He responded like a killer. Fulton and his team made one fatal mistake. They underestimated a man who's made a career out of punishing people who do exactly that.
Coming by way of knockout tonight in his fourth world title appearance, ladies and gentlemen, here is the undefeated.
On paper, sure, Fulton had the size advantage. He was slick, skilled, undefeated, the real deal at 122 pounds. But none of that mattered, because this wasn't just a clash of styles. It was a collision between a champion and a weaponized fighter built for destruction. Inoue's footwork, forget elite, it's ghost level. The man moves like he's teleporting. 1 second he's in front of you, the next he's tagging you from the side. And his timing, scary. Like, blink, and he's already hit you 3 times, scary. He doesn't throw punches, he launches them with intent. And that power? Let's just say, if Inoue weighed 160 pounds, the world would need new weight classes just to survive him.
Inoue, you have to pick your poison. Now it's a left hook that rattles Nonito Donaire. It's devastating power, and the legs of Donaire are not all there.
This is the guy who stopped Nonito Donaire in 2 rounds in their rematch. You know Donaire, a future Hall of Famer, a legend, a guy who's seen it all. Inoue made it look like sparring. Paul Butler barely lasted long enough for the ring announcer to sit down. Jason Maloney, 1 right hand and his whole night was over. These aren't journeymen, these are champions. And they were all dealt with the same way. Fast, brutal, and decisive.
And I see the same Inoue. Quick, fast, always thinking, looking for the big shot.
Then the bell rang, and suddenly all the talk, all the accusations, all the disrespect, it didn't matter. Round 1 was quiet, kind of like the calm before the storm. Fulton stayed on the move, trying to control the distance. He circled, jabbed, stayed cautious. And Inoue, he didn't rush. He just watched, measured, calculated. You could almost see him downloading the data step by step.
Inoue's having a lot of success with his long jab to the head and to the stomach. And you can see both of them possess a ton of speed.
By round 2, Inoue had seen enough. He started letting his hands go. Not wildly, not recklessly, but with surgical precision. A clean right hand here, a left hook to the body there. And every time he landed, you could see Fulton's face change just a little. Not panic, not yet. But that first crack in the armor. His corner started getting louder. They knew what was coming.
Counterpuncher. He likes to keep that space and try and counter over the top, but Inoue knows that he's not letting him get set. He's keeping him off balance by keeping that jab in his face and dropping that right hand over with combination.
Round 3, that's when the roles flipped. Inoue, the smaller man, started walking down Fulton. The guy with the shorter reach, the lighter frame, now he was the aggressor. Fulton tried to circle to create space, but Inoue cut off the ring like a sniper.
Stab jab downstairs for Inoue, then back up top. Pool boy step connects there with the lead left hand.
By round 4, it was clear to everyone watching, this wasn't just Inoue showing up to win. This was him taking over. Fulton's punches getting slower, his eyes starting to flicker between focus and confusion, because this wasn't supposed to be a mismatch. This was supposed to be Inoue's toughest test. Instead, it was turning into a boxing clinic, run by the so-called kid.
Fulton does have a good strong left hook as well as Inoue, but it is Fulton's strongest power punch. That's where he...
The thing is, Inoue doesn't fight for drama. He doesn't need chaos. He builds pressure like a machine. Quiet, relentless, efficient. Fulton came in thinking he was going to be the matador, controlling the pace with slick footwork and sharp jabs. Instead, he found himself being dissected by a guy who made world champions look like sparring partners. And the most terrifying part? Inoue hadn't even shifted into high gear yet.
Combo punches from Fulton, right? Moving forward, Michaela.
Definitely, he needs it. He's not going to win by trying to sit back and counter with one shot when Inoue's quicker, faster, and he's throwing more than him.
By the end of round 4, Fulton had landed some punches, sure, but none of them mattered. None of them changed the tone. And worse, every time he landed, Inoue landed back harder, sharper, cleaner. It was like Fulton had brought a butter knife to a gunfight. And at this point, he was already bleeding points, momentum, and confidence.
Jab down to the body for Inoue. Back to the body goes Inoue.
A little bit more of a rhythm from both fighters right now. I think that's key for Fulton too, staying in a rhythm, not just freezing and waiting to counter, but staying in a rhythm and keeping.
The so-called kid wasn't just holding his own. He was taking over the fight minute by minute. The monster had arrived, and he wasn't going anywhere. By round 5, it was no longer a fight. It was a slow, painful unraveling. Fulton kept trying to land something clean, anything really, but every time he let his hands go, Inoue was already gone. Or worse, already countering. He wasn't just slipping punches, he was answering them, and answering them with cruel precision. A jab in the mouth here, a hook to the liver there. It was like trying to outdance a ghost with knives.
Inoue, Fulton dodged that uppercut.
Strong is Inoue, although he missed with that last.
At this point, Inoue was fully in control. He was dictating every range, every tempo. You want to box from the outside? Too bad, I'm already inside. You want to clinch? Nope. Here's a body shot that takes your breath away. You could see Fulton's confidence start to evaporate, his footwork stuttering, his face tightening, and his corner suddenly quiet. No more barking instructions, no more yelling advice, just the sound of a team watching their fighter get slowly cooked.
Inoue can attack like that now because he's seeing that Fulton's not going to punch back. He's going to take the space and he's going to try and block, but he's not going to punch while Inoue is punching.
Then came the body work. And if you know anything about Inoue, you know that's where things start to turn dark. Once he starts investing in the midsection, it's not strategy, it's punishment. Fulton folded more than once, bent over, grabbing space, looking for breaks that weren't coming. Inoue was now walking forward with his hands down, slipping punches like he was bored, landing clean shots like he was playing a rhythm game. He was styling on him in round 6 against an undefeated champion.
Jab down to the body once again, and Fulton can take those body shots. He's shown whether it's hooks to the body or jabs. He took a ton of them in that fight.
Yeah, and at this point, Inoue is doing a really good job from the outside too. He has a...
And then, round 8. Fulton's face was swelling. His mouth was open, his movement sluggish. He wasn't just losing the fight, he was being broken down. The power, the pace, the pressure, none of it stopped. Inoue was now stalking him like a predator who already knew how this would end. And then, boom, that shot. Inoue cracked him flush, and Fulton dropped like his legs just gave up on him. The crowd lost it. You could hear the collective shock in the building. This wasn't just a knockdown. This was the moment. Every doubt, every insult, every accusation about loaded gloves blew up in Fulton's face.
Fulton doing his best to fight back. The referee steps in, and it is over.
He got up, sure, credit to him, but by then, it was a formality. Inoue smelled blood, and if there's one thing we've learned, it's that you do not let this man catch a scent. A few more punishing blows later, and the referee did the merciful thing. He waved it off. And the so-called kid, he stood over the wreckage like a man who just proved something to the world. Like this video and hit subscribe button to get more updates about Naoya Inoue's fights.